welcome to this week's golf betting preview. It's a biggie this week as it's the year's first major championship. The world's best players will all be in action in California as TPC Harding Park in San Francisco hosts the PGA Championship. But who do I think are the best bets for this week? Let's get straight to it, and Brooks Koepka is my number one selection at 10 to 1. The major machine just cannot be discounted as he bids to claim his third consecutive PGA Championship. The defending champion has exceptionally strong claims. No one has played the majors better than him since Tiger Woods in his pomp. He has 4 major wins in his last 10 starts in the game's biggest events. He also finished inside the top 4 of all of last year's majors. Now Koepka may not have been in great form this season. He's been dogged by a few injury problems and he's been out of form. But he always knows how to tee up in the game's biggest events and get himself into great shape, which is what he's done. Koepka found his rhythm and found his swing last week at the WGC FedEx St Jude Invitational when he finished joint runner-up. Koepka had a great chance there, put on a stout title defence and looked to be hitting the ball with great authority. He led the field for greens in regulation last week and he came off there extremely confident about his chances in California this week. Koepka's mental strength is perhaps his biggest asset. There's no one currently in the game, in his peers, who has the resilience that he has. It's like Tiger Woods in his pomp, and Koepka simply has a mental strength that few of his rivals can match. That's a massive asset, and I'd expect him to be strongly in contention this week. Don't rule out a third successive PGA Championship victory. Koepka simply has to be backed in the major championships, and this week's no different. Next best, and I'm sticking with Jon Rahm again at 14 to 1, despite a disappointing performance last week when carrying our cash. Rahm never really got going in Memphis until the final round when he played nicely for a closing 66. He's dropped down from world number ranking to second after the champion Justin Thomas climbed to the top of the game. But that actually could be a blessing in disguise. Rahm going in here without the top dog status could go in slightly under the radar and the expectations may not be quite as high and the attention focused on him. I think that could be a real positive. And Rahm has phenomenal form in California. His first 2 victories on the PGA Tour came in California, including a dramatic victory at Torrey Pines for his breakthrough. He's exceptionally comfortable in this part of America, and he showed this with his best major performance last summer when finishing 3rd at the US Open at Pebble Beach. And Rahm is currently ranked 6th for strokes gained off the tee this season, and he displayed this brilliance only a couple of weeks back with his victory at Muirfield Village, the Memorial. That was an outstanding performance, and if he gets close to that again, I think he could be celebrating his first major title this weekend. Don't dismiss Rahm on the back of an indifferent performance last week. Stick with the swashbuckling Spaniard and he may well bring rewards this weekend at 14 to 1. Next up, I'll go with Webb Simpson at 28 to 1. He is bound to have positive vibes as he returns to the city where he tasted US Open success back in 2012. He triumphed at the Olympic Club across the lake, and it has the same course designers as this week's venue. Willie Watson and Sam Whiting designed the layout, and although Harding Park is unlikely to be as difficult as the Olympic Club, it is still bound to give him positive vibes and a great feel-good factor Simpson tees up. But the more significant factor is that Simpson is in the form of his life. He's up to 4th in the World Golf Rankings, and he comes in here off the back of 2 victories already this year on the PGA Tour. He's hitting the ball superbly and such a good touch on the greens as well. So many stats in his favour, Perhaps the most significant one, though, is he leads the top for par 4 scoring average. That's significant this week, though, with 12 at the par 70 Harding Park this week. Many people have said that you have to hit the ball long off the tee, but Simpson is really strong with his utility clubs. I'd expect him to be a factor this week in San Francisco. He could well do the California double at 28-1. Next up, one of the most accomplished and impressive young talents in the game, Collin Morikawa at 35-1. The Californian has the benefit of plenty of playing experience at Harding Park in recent years as a college golfer, having played the course more recently than most other players in the field has to be an advantage, and he comes here off a recent victory at Muirfield Village. That was his second PGA Tour title in little more than a year. This is a player that is quickly rising the rankings. He's almost into the world's top 10, and a major appears inevitable in the coming years. It could come as quickly as this weekend. He bases most of his game on a superb ball striking ability. From tee to green, there are a few better, as he's ranked 4th for the season in this statistic. He's also peppering flags at will. He currently ranks 2nd for strokes gained on approach. He's only had one previous major appearance when he finished 35th last year. But don't discount Morikawa based on his inexperience. He's extremely mature for his age at 23. Morikawa could be tasting home state success at 35-1 each way. Moving out to slightly bigger prices, and the European interest could certainly be there with Shane Lowry at 70-1. He's the most recent major champion, as he won emphatically with a brilliant win at the Open Championship at Royal Portrush last summer. Now, he's a brilliant wind player. He knows how to control his ball in the wind, and that will be a big asset, as well as his scrambling ability, as the breeze is expected to get up strongly, particularly in the afternoons. Thursday afternoon could be really strong breezes, so obviously worth checking on the tee times, which will be out this evening. But Lowry has the game to handle windy conditions, and he had a really encouraging effort last week in Memphis, where he finished 6th. He was 2nd for scrambling and 8th for tee to green, a really strong performance overall. His putter didn't really warm up. That might not be a key asset this week, though, in a major championship test, and I can see Lowry going very close to back-to-back major wins. And there's always room for a big outsider in your staking plan. In a major championship, there's great value out there with all the each-way places on offer. And I'm going for a really big outsider here who looks wrongly dismissed at the prices. Major champion Charles Schwartzel at 200-1, and more than double that on the exchanges, looks a bit of a steal and could surprise at massive odds. The 2011 Masters champion has real pedigree. He's been as high as 6th in the World Golf Rankings, and he has a real affinity with Harding Park. Now, he turned up here to the World Golf Championship event 15 years ago as a 20-year-old with no form in the States, and he managed 18th place, which was a really encouraging effort in a strong field. He also returned there in 2015, the last time it was used. That was for the WGC Match Play Championship that Rory McIlroy won, and Schwartzel upset Dustin Johnson on his way to topping the group. He got through to the knockout stages, so again showed his aptitude and ability to play well at the course. His form in the last few years has understandably dipped, mainly dogged by injury problems, but there have been a few hints at a renaissance recently. Schwartzel had success at Pebble Beach earlier this year when he finished fifth in California, another encouraging effort, and most recently Schwartzel was 3rd in windy conditions in Minnesota at the 3M Open just a couple of weeks ago. Now, Schwartzel's a class act with 2 victories in America already, much better record than so many players higher up in the betting. and at 35 years old, there's plenty of success left for him in the game. Don't write him off, as he's been dismissed in the odds at 200 to 1. I wouldn't discount him just yet. A quick recap then on those selections, and my main bet is Brooks Koepka at 10 to 1, followed by Jon Rahm, keep faith with him at 14 to 1, Webb Simpson at 28, Colin Morikawa could make a maiden victory at the major at 35 to 1, Shane Lowry at 70 to 1, and my outside shot is Charles Schwartzel at 200 to 1. I've written a preview as well, betting preview, which is online, and I will be updating on Twitter at Watford Tipster with a few other selections and special bets, top 10, top 20 markets over the next day or so. So keep an eye on that one. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed this. And good luck with your bets this week. It's going to be a lot of late nights coming up in California, but I'm sure it'll be worth it. Enjoy the golf.